Welcome in TNC Radio.live. We're live on a Wednesday night, and this is Keep On Talking with your host, Tom Kirk.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, Mr. Tom. Welcome to the Keep On Talking Live and the Counter of Knowledge, where we gather each week to share some ideas, thoughts, tips, tricks, and talk about really anything trucking or whatever may be on our minds that night. This is basically kind of going back to the good old days when we could still gather around the truck stops at the drivers' areas and the tables they had there and share a lot of these tips and tricks. And with the pandemic and the closing a lot of the restaurants, we now get to do it here each week on Keep On Talking Live. If you'd like to join in the conversation, we've got plenty of room for you tonight at 706-862-8620. That spells 706-TNC-TNC0. Or if you're listening in on that TNC Radio.live app, just push the talk button, and that will get you connected into us as well. We want to welcome some guests tonight. We've got some familiars. Some of our originals are with us tonight. We've got Bruce. We've got Catwoman, and we'll be getting to them to do some catching up. But we got a special guest who has snuck into the Counter of Knowledge tonight. Flo's pulled up a special seat and some coffee for her, and maybe even a piece of her famous apple pie. We've got Julie Dillon from the St. Christopher's Foundation who's joining us tonight. How are you doing tonight, Julie?
Hey, I am doing pretty darn good tonight. How about you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. It's great to have you on. And we're going to talk a little later in the show about St. Christopher's and why they're important. But earlier this week, I had a couple drivers reaching out to me, and it really over the last several weeks and months, saying, well, let's start doing some shows on driver health. And there's a bunch of different topics we can do on that. But one of the most important things, I think, in driver health, particularly this time of year, you hear about drivers getting the cold, the flu, different other things. What can we do for prevention? And that could be anything from getting sick while you're out on the road, and maybe some basic tips and tricks that drivers have for that. But it could be doing anything as well from trying to prevent diabetes, high blood pressure, basically the truck driver retirement pack, which is high blood pressure, overweight, and diabetes, and who knows what all else. But, we don't want drivers getting those retirement packages because, I'd far rather get a gold watch than a golden cholesterol. But anyways, we're going to be talking all things about driver health tonight. Bruce, Catwoman, I'm glad you're doing tonight. Let's start off real quick with you, Catwoman. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing great. Glad you could make it with us tonight. So we'll start off with you. What are some of the things that you may do to try stay healthy out here on the road?
With driving, we would always try to keep up on our vitamins and that type of thing to help out. But since COVID's come along, unfortunately, that's kind of went to the wayside because, when you get that, that's really not going to help you very much when you come in contact with that.
Well,
we're still battling that right at the moment.
Yeah, because if I remember right, you and Road Dogg have definitely had your, as you've said before in the show, more than your fair share of COVID as of late. I do think vitamins are good for general health. They're not going to necessarily prevent COVID, but hey, if it helps keep you getting from the cold or certain other things, that definitely can play a role in that as well. Bruce, how are you doing tonight there, my friend? Bruce, are you there?
I'm doing great. Yes, I'm here. I've been doing good.
That's good to hear. And what are some of the things that you do to try to stay healthy out here on the road?
Yeah, I take a daily vitamin. And when I was home last time, I got my flu shot, so I try to take care of that. And other than that, just watch what I eat and watch my surroundings.
And that makes a lot of...
Dress for the weather.
That, I think, is a good piece of advice. And people always laughed at me because all 4 seasons, I carried a little bit of everything for every season because I never knew where I would be. And one time somebody says, why do you carry a heavy winter jacket in the middle of July? And I looked at them, the 4th of July, snow, Vail Summit.
Yep.
Need I say more?
Nope.
I've seen it, and I know other drivers have seen it. So once you get burned by something like that, you tend to be very cautious going forwards. Julie, you're with the St. Christopher's Fund. We'll get into that in just a second, but I know Bruce just said something here that I know St. Christopher's is involved with. Why don't you tell people a little bit about St. Christopher's and how they can get some of their flu shots and other immunizations through them?
Sure. I'll be glad to do that. I know that's kind of a touchy subject for some people. Some people are completely, anti-vaccine, and some people are, 110% pro-vaccine. So what we try to do is we just offer them for those that don't have health insurance that covers the flu, pneumonia, or shingles vaccine. We do provide those three. And, of course, the shingles is a 2-part vaccine, and it's typically recommended for anyone over age 50. And so you can get those. Like I said, it's for anyone that does not have health insurance. And you just go to our website at truckersfund.org. You'll see the health and wellness tab, and scroll down on there and you'll see vaccines. And you can register for those on our website, and we can get you the vouchers. Right now, they're just good at Walgreens, but you can take them to any Walgreens in the country and be able to get those vaccines if you need them.
And that's very handy. And, I know different people, like you said, have different opinions on them. And usually what I say is, if you're not sure of what you should do, go talk to your doctor. Or go talk to a trusted medical friend or professional, get their advice for what's right for you. Some people it may not be right for whatever set of reasons. And if you do have a lot of concerns about them, there's nothing wrong with that. But for those who do want it, it's nice to know that they're available. And, at the end of the day, hey, what's better than free? Not much. Because I've had to pay actually in the past for the flu vaccine, and for me, it's worth it. But the one thing I've discovered over the years, whenever I have to do a vaccine, especially the flu or a couple of other similar ones, I try to get it done on a weekend or when I know I'm not working. Because if I don't and I have to work the next day or two, I usually end up feeling miserable. And no one wants to feel miserable out here on the road, particularly if it's flu symptom or something similar. The other thing is here, Julie, why don't you tell us just a little bit about St. Christopher's Fund and what they are and what they do?
Yeah, so thanks for allowing me to do that. St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund is, of course, a nonprofit organization, and what we do is we help sick or injured drivers when they are unable to work. What we call a stopgap, or we just fill the gap. We know that we can't meet everyone's needs, and we can't take care of all bills, but we try to pay for some of those necessity bills. Like I said, just fill in that gap, for a month or two. We pay rent or mortgage, utilities, vehicle payments, and car payments, and insurance. So we just try to do the necessity bills there. We want to make sure that you have your lights on and that you're able to have a roof over your head, those sorts of things. That's our first mission, and that was the primary mission of St. Christopher Fund for the first 10 years or so. And then I guess we started doing vaccines in 2014, so it's been going on for a pretty good while. And then in 2017, we decided to come up with some preventative health initiatives, and that is when we started doing the Rigs Without Cigs tobacco cessation program, which, as you know, you were instrumental in helping get that started and has, a lot of good ideas where that's concerned. You and I talked many, many hours about that program. And since then, we've actually added a few more preventative health programs in there, and we're working on a new one right now. So we have two different parts of the mission. One is preventative, and one is bill assistance.
And those are both great missions. And the thing we're going to be focusing on more tonight is some of the preventative stuff and tips and tricks that drivers can do to try to stay well out here on the road. And we're going to be doing some more health programming here over the coming weeks and months on Talkin Live by some of the requests that we're getting from our listeners. But we're getting ready to come up on a break here, so we're going to be covering some more of this. If you wish to join the conversation, you can, 706-862-8620. That's 706-TNC-TNC0. And welcome to the famous Christine Gray. We'll be talking to her right here after the break. We'll be right back after these messages. Keep your ears on.
As a professional driver, you are always being told about the importance of physical fitness, your health. But what about mental fitness? On the show each week, we take on a new topic, from loneliness to the power of gratitude to how to build strong relationships, all from the perspective of a driver's life. It's every Monday on TNC Radio Live at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's Building Strong Minds.
6 safety tips for truck driving in hot weather. Driving in the heat can create dangerous situations for truck drivers. Drivers need to take specific precautions before hitting the road in extreme heat. When there's an incoming heat wave, drivers need to be aware of how to safely drive in these weather conditions. Follow the Truckers Network's 6 safety tips for truck driving in hot weather. Every truck driver needs to complete a pre-trip inspection before driving, especially in hot weather. Check your tires. Heat can have a huge effect on your tires. As the temperature increases, so does the air pressure in your tires. During the hottest months of the year, it's important to frequently check your tire pressure. Frequently checking your tires can save you from a blowout. To get an accurate measurement, wait for your tires to cool down before checking the pressure. The heat and friction from the road causes your tires to warm up, which will cause a rise in tire pressure. Also, don't be afraid to take a break every couple of hours to let your tires cool down. Protect your engine. Not only should you protect yourself from the heat, but you should also protect your engine. One way to keep your engine from overheating is to frequently check the engine oil. The oil keeps the engine cool and keeps the parts running smoothly. Engine coolant is just as important as engine oil. Coolant helps prevent the engine from overheating in extremely hot temperatures. Keep an eye on the coolant temperature gauge while driving. If the gauge goes above the safe temperature, pull over and see what's going on. Failing to look at the situation could lead to engine failure. Also, make sure to check for leaks in the hoses. A cracked hose can lead to engine failure. Check your brakes. Cold and hot weather affect your semi-truck's brakes. When you brake, you create a significant amount of friction and your brakes become extremely hot. When you add in hot weather, your brakes have an even higher chance of failing. To avoid your brakes from failing, brake gradually to decrease the amount of heat. Also, regularly check your brake pads to ensure they're working properly. Tips to protect yourself from the hot weather. It's just as important to protect yourself during extremely hot weather. Follow these tips to keep yourself cool and safe. Stock up on water. As the temperature increases, you need to increase your water intake. Make sure to always have water in your truck. You never know when you might get stuck in traffic or break down on the side of the road. Wear sunscreen. Many truck drivers forget this step. Even when you're in your truck, you're still exposed to the harmful UVA rays. Make sure to put sunscreen on before hitting the road. Wear light-colored clothes. Light-colored clothing reflects light, and dark-colored clothing absorbs it. Wearing light-colored, loose-fitting clothes helps you stay cooler and more comfortable.
Truckers Life Radio from TFC Global with your host, Ron Frazier, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. On the show, Ron interviews guests to help inform professional drivers just like you about the importance of things like human trafficking to sex addiction to how to overcome the impossible odds on the way to success. Every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back in, TNC Radio.live. This is Keep On Talking with your host, Tom Kirk.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. We are back here at the Counter of Knowledge, and where the conversation's hot, the coffee's even hotter, and Flo's got some pretty good apple pie for us there tonight. We've been joined by Christine Gray, one of our other originals. How are you doing tonight, Christine?
I am sitting comfortably. I got a meal and a nice warm big bed for myself tonight. Looking good.
Hey, that works. That works. And if you'd like to join in the conversation, we still have plenty of room for you. 706-862-8620. That's 706-TNC-TNC0, or you can press that Call Us Now button on the TNC Radio.live app and get a hold of us that way. And we've been talking driver health tonight and really basically ways to try to stay healthy, get healthy on the road, and prevent illness whenever possible. We may even get into some of the truck drivers' home remedies for things like the cold and the sniffles as we go on tonight. But Christine, let's come to you. I've already asked Catwoman and Bruce, what are some of the things that you do out there on the road to try to head off getting sick and try to stay healthy?
I have a full regimen of vitamins I take. Centrum over 50, apple cider for my kidneys and my liver. Basically, the multivitamins, and I throw juice in there. Lay off, no soda. I haven't had soda in like 8 years. I do drink a lot of tea and add in the water. I kind of like change it up. I do add in yogurt. I do a lot of breakfast shakes. I don't eat the fried foods like I used to. Health-wise, you have to make really smart choices. Quite a few years ago, I had read Carolyn Obern's Gut Health book, and it made a lot of sense to me about what we put in our bodies while we're out on the road. And you have to make a conscious effort to choose healthier foods to keep us healthy and to keep, make those choices to not buy the junk food or the potato chips and the fried foods. Yeah, you need some things, but you don't need the high fat content that we live on in a truck. So,
and
you
that
don't
is
eat
so
after a
true.
certain time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I think the thing, Christine, that it's out there. Everybody knows there's 4 kinds of food available to truck stops. There's fried, pre-fried, refried, and should have been fried. And one of the things I've discovered over the years is I'm still waiting for the truck stop that serves deep fried salad. I'm sure there's someplace that does, but I'm still waiting to find it because they do deep fry about everything else. But in all seriousness, it is hard to find good food out there to truck stops. It is hard to find things like that. And there are tips and tricks. Some of the truck stops are getting better, but particularly it seems like lately with the continuing supply chain issues, it is getting a little bit more challenging. So drivers do have to think a little bit more outside of the box to stay healthy. And several people have mentioned vitamins. I've done the multivitamin. I also do vitamin D3 because a lot of drivers do have a vitamin D deficiency. But that's one of the things you can go to your doctor. And let them know, hey, can you test certain vitamin levels? And D is usually a good one to ask them to test to see what those levels are, to see if you do need to take a supplement. And a lot of drivers do it. And one of the things I've discovered is tell your doctor that you're a truck driver, because sometimes then they'll do a couple different blood tests because drivers do tend to have more deficiencies in certain areas than other ones. And, we also have another problem. A lot of us, myself included, it has issues with expanded girth, and that can lead to issues such as prediabetes and diabetes. And Julie, I'm going to put the spotlight back on you for a second. We were talking a little bit about some of the things that St. Christopher's does in the last break, and we'll get back to Rapes Without Cigs and some of the other programs. But I know there's a program you guys have been working on for a little bit over the last year or two to really help drivers with weight, but more specifically pre-diabetes. Why don't you share a little bit about that program?
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to do that. So we actually have a program called Driving Down Diabetes, and it's for drivers that are pre-diabetic. And what this entails is actually a CDC program that we have taken and changed it up a little bit and tailored it to meet the needs of drivers, because, the typical program is designed for someone who works 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever during the day, those daytime hours, and comes home in the evening and is home every evening. And that's just not the typical life out on the road. So we've taken this program and made it work for drivers. And we talk about everything from food and nutrition and movement. But we also touch on things and spend some time on stress and managing stress well and in a healthy way, and being able to sleep well at night and how important that is to your body. And so there's so many things wrapped up in this program. It's more than just eat this, not that, and get moving. Because it's a lot of information that we take and we break it into small chunks, and we build on that each week. And we do everything via Zoom. So we meet for the first couple of months. We meet once a week, and we have a Zoom call. And so everyone's on the call together, and, we're building relationships. There's a support and accountability between the drivers that are in the program. And we just develop some really good friendships. And, a lot of times they talk throughout the week to each other in between, just as extra support for each other, because they're going through a lot of the same things and dealing with a lot of the same issues. So it's really designed to meet drivers where they are and help them get healthier, so that not only are we living longer, we're feeling better while we're living longer. That's what we all want? As long as we're here on this earth, you want to feel decent. You don't want to just exist. We want to feel good. And so that's what we're working towards, and being able to help drivers never get diabetes, that we can prevent some of those things ahead of time. And so much of that can be done by doing the things and applying the things that you learn in the program. And I love what Christine said when she talked about, what she learned from Carolyn O'Byrne's book, and, the things, she's got it going on. She's doing so many things right already. And so kudos to you for that.
And that really is good when people do things like that. And I think one of the things that's really important here to talk about tonight, Julie, is the fact that you do customize these programs on drivers' health to more tailored drivers' needs. Because I know a while back, I saw a recipe that had been put out by a group of 4 truck drivers, and it was, featuring one of these, 12-volt crock pots. So let's say it was a 3-quart crock pot or something like that. And the first ingredients was 2 quarts of broth. Okay. Then you put in so many pounds of meat, so much this. And I added up all the ingredients, and you needed a 6-quart crock pot. Whoever had sent in the recipe, nobody stopped to think, wait, this is a driver cooking for one person, not for a family of 4 or 5. And no one made any adjustments on the recipe. And that's one of the things that I like that you're doing is you realize that drivers have a tough life out here, and not everything is cut and dry, and you have to change things around for the situation. Because I can't tell you how many programs I've talked to over the years that want to work with drivers, but they're making the program that is just straight out of the box. Hey, Judy, I've seen you joined us, and we'll get to you here in just a moment because we're coming up on a break. If you wish to join a conversation, you can call in at 706-862-8620. We still have plenty of room for you tonight, and more great conversation on how to prevent getting ill out on the road, and maybe some of the tips and tricks, the hacks you have if you get the cold or the flu or the sniffles to try to deal with it on the road. And in a couple more weeks, we'll be getting into more in-depth on it when you're sick on the road, on things you can do while you're out there. But if you'd like to join in the conversation, that's 706-862-8620. We'll be back with more right after the break. Thank you for listening to Keep on Talking Live. Keep your ears on. We'll be right back.
Do you have the TNCRadio.live app? It's free and easy to download. Just go to app.tncradio.live, Google Play, or the App Store. Get access to live streaming radio developed by drivers for drivers. Download the tncradio.live app today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. The great Alfred Adler used to talk about children quite a bit, and he said, children are very astute observers, but they draw erroneous conclusions about what they've observed. Therefore, they need adults to help them translate what they're witnessing and to put a good perspective on it. Case in point, years ago, a 4-year-old boy watched his father in the backyard swimming pool going headfirst down the slide into the water. When he hit the water, his hairpiece came off. Nothing was said. It was not a big deal. But several weeks later, at the boy's birthday party, everyone was going down that same slide into the pool. The boy's father challenged him to go head first and even pushed him. And all the way down the slide, he screamed, "No!" Great tears. When he finally hit the water, he was hysterically crying. The father said, "What's wrong? What's wrong? You've been down the slide 1,000,000 times." And he said, "I don't want my hair to come off." Excellent observation, quite astute, but an erroneous conclusion. So what do we do with that? We ask children what they're thinking. We find out how they're processing things. We give them the opportunity to feel safe to tell us what's on their mind. And wherever it's necessary, we correct their thinking. We give them more accurate information, and information that helps them to feel safer and better about themselves. And then hopefully they'll be able to keep their head and keep their hair.
I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on tncradio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on tncradio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Welcome back in. tncradio.live. Keep on talking. Here's Tom Kirk.
Thank you very much, Tom. We're back here with Keep On Talking Live. Catwoman and Bruce had to go take care of some things, and they said, well, they'll see us next week. But we've been joined by Judy Evers. We'll get to her in just a moment. We're talking driver health, things you can do to try to stay healthy and prevent getting sick on the road, and maybe some of the basics we do if we don't start feeling a little less than well to try to stay healthy out there on the road. And some of the great programs that St. Christopher's Truckers Relief and Development Fund have to offer. Judy, thank you for calling in tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. I know you had some comments you wanted to make on vitamins, as well as something you have found in the apple cider family that you think works real well. So I'll let you take it over.
A lot of us, before you start taking a multivitamin, and you really need to doctor autoimmune.
Hey, Judy, we're starting to lose you a little bit here. I know some of what you're going to say, so I'll hit the highlights and I'll come back to you here in a second. There are a lot of drivers that do have problems taking certain vitamins or multivitamins because, for example, they may not be able to take vitamin K or certain supplements that are in some vitamins. So that's one of the reasons why I always suggest, if you're not sure, talk to a doctor or somebody who knows this and knows about your health and what's going to be right for you. But the other thing is you introduced me to something called fire cider, which I guess is available at some natural food stores. And are you still there, Judy, or have we lost you?
No, I can hear you.
I think the hills of East Tennessee are beating up on your phone signal. Yep, we just dropped her there. But there's something called fire cider, which has the apple cider vinegar in it, but it also has some cayenne and some other things that are supposed to be good for that joint health, the liver, and things like that. And different health food stores have it. So that is something there. Check with your doctor, check with different practitioners in your area to find out what's right for you and what's going to be the best for you on something like that. Christine, Julie, I know we had hit the highlights about the driving down diabetes. We mentioned briefly the smoking cessation program there, Rigs Without Cigs. And I'll tell a little bit from my side about it. A few years back, Julie and I got talking about different things with drivers' health. And I said, some drivers are asking me, what can we do to help them either quit smoking or stop chewing tobacco or whatever it may be? And we started talking, and they had already been looking into some things, and I've been looking into some things. We pooled some resources together, and, St. Christopher's and Julie really took off with this Rigs Without Cigs program. So, Julie, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Rigs Without Cigs and how that works? And then, most importantly, I think we need to explain how much these programs cost drivers. So why don't we start off with that?
Well, the good news is about all these programs is they are free. We have secured sponsors to cover each of the programs. It's the Diabetes Prevention Program and Rigs Without Cigs, so they're completely free. So any tools or anything that we're able to offer, whether it be nicotine replacement therapy and things like that for Rigs Without Cigs, it is completely free, no charge to the driver. And so far as of today, we have had 181 drivers quit smoking through our program. So, I'm really excited about that because that's a big deal. I mean, that's a huge life change. And most of the people that we're working with, they haven't been smoking 2 years or 5 years. We're talking 30, sometimes 40-year smokers. I've had kids that they've been smoking since they were kids, 10, 11 years old. And it almost becomes part of their identity. And so we're undoing a lot of habits and things that they've been, having going on for years and years, as well as the physical dependency to nicotine. So the program is designed specifically for drivers there again, and it is free. And you actually sign up and work with me one-on-one and to be able to become tobacco free. And I stick with you either until you quit smoking or you tell me to go away.
Oh, who would want to tell you to go away, Julie? But let's go over that number one more time because I think that's impressive. How many people did you say that was again that have successfully quit smoking?
A little over 180.
So a little over 180 people or 181, however you want to look at it. That's a lot of drivers, and that really is kind of an interesting, I think, and compelling story that drivers out there do want to change and can change. And, for somebody who, let's say, does quit smoking, what are some of the benefits that they're going to see about that fairly quickly?
The quickest things I hear, the two fastest things I hear is, one, I can breathe better, and two, food tastes better. You get your taste buds back. That seems to be the thing that people notice first. Better breathing and better taste buds. And just as a little sidebar, when you were talking about the vitamins and things, taking your vitamins, just a little extra note out there. If someone's listening and you do smoke and you take vitamin C, sugar actually works along with that. And they try in smoking, you need more vitamin C if you smoke because it counteracts the effects. And also, if you eat a lot of sugar, you eat a lot of foods that are high in sugar, sugar is dominant over vitamin C, and it will actually can go in and enter the cell and keep vitamin C from entering your cells. So
interesting.
Don't be eating sugar anytime you're taking vitamin C.
And I never knew that. One of the things, actually, I want to come back to you for a second here, Christine, because I know you said you were drinking more juice. And I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. I'm throwing myself under the bus with this one. How much juice do you tend to drink, and what kind of a juice do you tend to drink?
Apple juice. Anything that's really super high in acid content. If I get grape juice, I have to dilute it. I like cranberry juice. I've added that, but I also water that one down. I don't like, things like that.
Well, and one of the reasons why I ask is because, a number of years ago, particularly when they started coming out with those various juice smoothies, whether it's from Bolt House Farms or one of those, I started drinking some of those. And you know how they had the decent sized bottles you could do in the stores? I didn't realize it until somebody pointed out to me. I was trying to figure out I was trying to eat better and be healthier, and it seemed like I was gaining weight. And what it was is I was drinking quite a bit more juice, thinking I was doing something good, not realizing I was drinking a bottle that was a serving size for 4 to 5 to 6 servings, and doing that every day to 2 days. And plus eating a meal and everything else, and not realizing how many calories I was getting. So one of the things that you said you're doing is actually pretty good. It was a tip I was given by a few different people. You can dilute that down with some water, which helps dilute some of that sugar down by stretching out a little bit. But that's one of the things I think we don't always realize when we go and do certain things that we think are good for ourselves. There's sometimes maybe don't have quite the same effect because, truck drivers, we always do things in moderation. We never, ever, ever try to do everything at once or go all in. Right, Christine?
Yeah, I know, right? No. So I don't know about you, but when we were growing up, it's like scrambled eggs. When my mom would make scrambled eggs, she would put 3 eggs or 4 eggs, but she would also mix a cup of milk. She'd make them bigger. She'd spread it out on purpose. She always did it to make more.
Yep.
I don't know, but the same thing. I mean, when I have apple juice, that's the only one I don't dilute. I dilute all the rest because it's just the acid content is too much for me. So it's just something I'm used to. It's like ketchup. When the ketchup bottle was empty, she would add water to the ketchup to make more.
Yep.
That's just something we were used to. She always did it.
Definitely.
So it's just carried on, you carry it on until your adult years. So I still do it. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a health choice, but it was just kind of something I always did. Like when your kids are little, when your kids are little, you dilute everything because you don't want them to have all those sugars and rot out their teeth when they're infants. Same thing.
And that's some great advice and some great tips there. One of the other things that I've picked up too is, a lot of drivers for a while were carrying those Nutribullets or something similar in the trucks, and they would make fresh juice, maybe throw some grapes in there or make some fresh grape juice or smoothies or whatever. But if you ever go and take some fresh grapes and throw them into one of those blenders and blend them up, it's super potent, tastes super sweet, super whatever. So you can dilute it down with water, or you're going to laugh at me. Throw in a couple small pieces of cauliflower. When it blends up, you can't taste the cauliflower, but it mellows out that super sweetness and some of that acid.
Welcome to the world of smoothies.
Exactly. And if Linda Caffey, if you're out here listening tonight, thank you very much for that tip. That was a great one I picked up from years ago, and I still use on a bunch of different things. But we need to go take a break here. Flo's flashing the lights at me, warning me we're getting near the top of the hour. But we'll be right back for more Keep On Talking Live with Julie Dillon from St. Christopher's Fund and Christine Gray. And we shall return right after these messages. Keep your ears on.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com. The best GPS for truck drivers. Although there's several GPS apps, it's better for truck drivers to rely on a system that's specifically geared toward their type of work. Smartphone apps lack the ability to show truckers the roads that are inaccessible to trucks. Buying the right GPS for trucking can be tricky and overwhelming. To save you from tons of research and reading reviews, the Truckers Network has listed the best GPS devices for truck drivers in 2020. Check out their website. Here's a brief list. Garmin Diesel 580 LMTS. The Garmin Diesel 580 LMTS is an easy-to-use GPS with hands-free Bluetooth and built-in Wi-Fi. It features customized truck routing for the size and weight of your truck. It also provides helpful predictive route warnings for dangerous curves, steep grades, bridge heights, weight limits, and more. You can find nearby hotels, restaurants, and parking with their easy brake planning. This GPS is truly made for the long haul. Other features include customized truck routing, built-in directory of truck and trailer services, easy brake planning, and service history log. The TomTom Trucker 620. The TomTom Trucker 620 is a 6-inch GPS navigation device that allows you to get the most out of your driving time. The TomTom Trucker 620 can connect by Wi-Fi, and that lets you update without a computer. It makes calling and messaging easier by providing hands-free calling and smartphone services. It also provides free real-time traffic updates and truck maps throughout North America. Other features include battery lifetime up to an hour. It reads messages out loud from a smartphone. It's compatible with Siri and Google Now. It has customized truck routing. The Garmin Drive Smart 61 LMTS. This Garmin device makes trucking much easier. The Navigator features a collection of smart features, in addition to easy-to-follow instructions and helpful driver alerts. It also provides hands-free calling, live traffic information, and built-in Wi-Fi. With this GPS device, all you have to do is look up and drive. Other features include voice-activated navigation, Bluetooth calling, select live parking, and a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that lasts up to an hour.
Catch Mind Your Trucking Business Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern with James Rogers, Jamie Irvine, and Tom Kelly. They provide expert advice about starting, operating, and growing a professional trucking business. It's Mind Your Trucking Business on tncradio.live.
Welcome back in, tncradio.live, live on a Wednesday night. This is Keep On Talking, and here's your host, Tom Kerr.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. And we're back here for the final segment of Keep On Talking Live. We've been having a good conversation tonight with a bunch of old friends, and we've been joined by a new friend, Julie Dillon from the St. Christopher's Truckers Relief and Development Fund. She'll be back from time to time. And during the break, we were talking about different things that drivers can do to try to stay healthy on the road, these tips and tricks that may make you feel better in terms of if you're starting to get a little sick, or might even help prevent some things. So, Julie, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you with some of those tips and tricks that you have learned. But an important disclaimer, none of us are doctors. We're not medical professionals, nor have we recently stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. So take these as it is intended. Just some good practices that we have found that may work for us. But if you're in doubt, please check with your own medical professional.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head there. So, I mean, there are so many things that we can do ahead of time to maybe not keep from getting sick, but the healthier you are, if you do get some of these things like the flu or COVID or whatever it happens to be, the healthier you are on the front end, the better you're going to do if you do develop some of these things. I mean, we can't make ourselves immune to everything. It would be nice, but it's just not realistic, especially when you're out and about in the world every day, touching stuff and coming in contact with stuff that everyone else and their brothers come in contact with, right? So, obviously, number one is going to be wash your hands. So many people go in and out of places all the time and don't wash their hands. And I'm sure there's nobody out there listening that would not do that. But, wash your hands. Drink lots of water. If you don't hear anything else I'm talking about tonight, if you drink 1 bottle of water a day, try to drink 2. If you drink 2 bottles of water a day, try to drink 3. Keeping your body hydrated is going to be huge in how healthy your overall health is. It's going to make a big difference. And, you've probably heard Dr. John say on the many times he's been on the air over the years that if you get sick, that you either want to have a bottle of water in your hand or in your mouth, or you may go into the bathroom. That the more you drink, the more hydrated you are, and you can flush those things out, the better off you're going to be. So stay hydrated. That's going to be really important, especially over the winter when we're dealing with all these different issues. So that's another thing you can do. If you're able to take vitamins, the standard ones out there are going to be vitamin C. That's important, for immune health. And like I was saying earlier, sugar will mess with that. So you got to be careful what you're putting in together there. And one tip about vitamin C is that it is water soluble. And what that means is when you take vitamin C, your body's going to use whatever it needs right then. And whatever it doesn't need, you're just going to pee out next time you go to the bathroom. So let's say you take 1,000 milligrams and your body needs 300. You just wasted the 700 milligrams. So I know it's hard to remember to do, but especially during this time of the year, if you can take your vitamin C a couple of times a day, 2 or 3 times a day, you're going to be better off than if you just take it once in the morning or something, or once at night. So spread that out during the day if you can remember to do that. I actually used a little spray bottle. Kind of like, how you used to get that sore throat spray that you could spray in your throat? It's like a little spray bottle, and I just keep it in front of me. So when I go by it, or keep it out invisible, keep somewhere visible, and I'll just give myself a squirt 3 or 4 times a day, rather than doing all 4, doing a whole 1,000 milligrams or so at one time. So just a little tidbit there about vitamin C.
And something, like, if I can throw in there real quick too, Julie, is for some drivers, particularly if you're already having to take medications, whether it's blood pressure or whatever it might be, and you're already taking morning at night, if you got one of those little pill containers for, let's say, morning, night, noon, whatever, go ahead and throw your vitamins in there too, particularly if you're taking some extra vitamin C. And I never really thought of that before, breaking it up for morning and evening. Instead of taking, let's say, 2 or 3 pills in the morning, take it maybe a couple times throughout the day. That's another great way to help you remember, did you take your medicine?
Right. That's a very good idea. Another thing that you can do for prevention, of course, vitamin D, we talked about it a little bit earlier. That's going to be really good. And it's funny, they call it vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. It's not a vitamin, but we all call it vitamin D. But the best way to get it, and I know it's hard this time of year, but it's going to be in the sun. Sunlight is going to be your best way to get vitamin D. But the problem is, and you can actually get it when it's cloudy. Doesn't have to be sunny. Doesn't matter. But the problem is it's cold, and to get vitamin D, you have to absorb it through your skin. So your skin has to be showing. So if you can't do that and you need to take a supplement, I like what you said earlier about going to your doctor first, because it's good to know a baseline, because so many people now are just popping vitamin D like crazy, and it's not water soluble. It is fat soluble, which means the body holds on to it and stores it. But people are getting vitamin D toxicity because they're just taking massive amounts, thinking it's going to help them stay healthy. So it's good to know what your vitamin D levels are if you're going to do that. So that's another preventative. And one that anyone can do as well is how you eat. What you eat does make a huge difference on your immune system and how you feel, because you want to eat foods that are considered what they call nutrient dense, and that just means high in nutrients. And I tell people, eat the rainbow. You really want to focus on a myriad of colors out there. The more colors you can eat, and I mean, these are whole foods, not your packaged, not your packaged prepackaged foods and things. Green leafy vegetables. Skittles cannot count. That can be a treat.
Oh, okay. You said eat the rainbow, so I just wanted to be sure. So,
not Skittles, but berries. I tell people, think of anything that ends in berry. If it's strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, blackberry, those are going to be lower in sugar, and so obviously lower in carbs, and so that's going to be good. Your nuts and seeds. My favorite is walnut. You just have to be careful, because if you eat way too many of them, you can gain weight, because they are, even though they're very healthy, they're healthy fat. They still are. It's a fat, but it's a good brain food too. Fresh garlic. We're talking about a dressing. This is just something I like to do. I'm a big fan of apple cider vinegar, and I will just take apple cider vinegar and extra virgin olive oil and a clove of garlic and mix it all up in there and make that my vinegar, my dressing, because garlic is really good. Garlic is actually antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial. So a clove of garlic every day is definitely going to be a good way to prevent and help, prevent some of these sicknesses that are out there. And I love garlic.
One thing I'm going to throw on that, if you can do it, not everybody can, eat a raw clove of garlic, because it will actually kind of help you out with that as well. So go ahead, eat that raw clove of garlic. And my joke is a raw clove of garlic a day will help keep the dispatcher away.
There you go. You got it. Fermented foods are really good for you, great for your body. If you can eat, and what I mean by fermented foods, it's going to be, some people can't stand, they call it kefir, or, there's always your kimchi, or different things like that. Some of those fermented foods that are good for the body, anything like that is going to be really beneficial. And I'm an herbalist, so I love herbs. And there's a lot of good herbs out there that are really good, not only as preventative medicine, but also for, I call it medicine, but it's not medicine, so to speak. But there's some good herbs out there that you can get to help prevent getting sick. And then also, if you get sick, you can take as well.
And we were talking about some of the things you can do. And I don't know how well this works, because I've heard different things about this over the years, from people saying it does work, doesn't work. I think it makes a difference for me. When you start getting congested, particularly if you're having trouble breathing at night on the truck, get some of that Vicks salve, rub it on the bottoms of your feet, put on a nice pair of warm socks. And at least if it doesn't really help your breathing, like I said, for me, I think it did. At the very least, if you do it for a few days or a couple of weeks, you'll end up with nice, soft feet. So either way, can you really lose? Probably not. But we're getting up here near the top of the hour. Coming up on tonight on TNCRadio.live, we've got Tail Lights coming up next with Larry and Angie Baum. They've always got a great guest and a great show coming up here, so they'll be joining us in just a few minutes here after the top of the hour to take on over for tonight's programming. And then later on after them at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, we have our very own Stockbrokers of Sports. Wait, that doesn't sound quite right, but it's Anderson and Banker with Clutch Time Sports. They'll be here tonight talking all things sports with a trucking twist. So keep it in gear for that tonight. We got lots of great programming. Julie, real quick, if somebody would like to know more about St. Christopher's Fund or reach out to you, how can they do that?
Just go to truckersfund.org and click on the Health and Wellness tab, and you'll find all our programs there. Or you can reach me at Julie at truckersfund.org.
Once again, you can get her at Julie at truckersfund, TRUCKERSFUND.org. And you can find them online at truckersfund.org. We hope you had a great evening here tonight on Keep On Talking Live at the Counter of Knowledge. We definitely had you. We're going to be seeing more from Julie and some other guests in the future as we talk about driver health and a whole bunch of issues that are important to us drivers out here on the road. We thank you for joining us. Once again, stay tuned for Larry and Angie coming up next, and for Clutch Time Sports after that. Thank you for listening to Keep On Talking Live. Stay tuned. More after this. Keep your ears on.